Listen to me. You want to speedrun Dark Messiah of Might and Magic? First, you need to buy the game. Got the game? Okay, great. So this game crashes a lot, actually. So the first step is to fix that. I'm going to put a link to this guide in the description below if you have any questions about what I'm saying, but here are the important parts. The main crash that occurs happens due to a memory issue where the game code prevents it from using more than 2 GB of RAM for anything involving loading the game. If you're not familiar with using a hex editor, you can use 4 GB patch by NT Core. Turns out this issue has been around for some time, so this tool is a standard and super easy to use. You can read more about it and download it from the website linked in the description below. Once you've downloaded 4 GB patch, before doing anything else, let's locate the game's exe we're going to be patching. To do this, open your Steam library and right-click on Dark Messiah. Now, click on Properties and find the tab labeled Local Files or Installed Files. Click on Browse or Browse Local Files, and an Explorer window should pop up for the game directory. Here, we can see mm.exe. We could unzip 4 GB patch into this folder and perform the whole operation here, but for clarity, I'm going to drag both 4 GB patch and the game's exe to my desktop so we can get a clear picture of what's going on. Now, simply click on mm.exe and drag it on top of 4 GB patch.exe. The operation should be performed automatically, and a new file named mm.exe.backup will be created. Now you can return the game's exe back to the mm folder in our game directory, and place the .backup file in here as well, or store it wherever you want really. If for whatever reason you end up needing to restore your backup, simply highlight the file name, erase .backup, and you're good to go. Important to note, even though the chances are drastically decreased, you can still crash the game if your graphics settings are too high. Put simply, the higher the graphics settings are, the more information gets loaded, and depending on your PC's performance, you may still commonly experience crashes. For these reasons, it's recommended to keep your settings to low. Copy my settings here for optimal performance and crash prevention. Great, so now you can actually play the game. Time to make that experience even smoother with some launch parameters. Still in the Steam library, right-click on Dark Messiah and return to Properties. Now we should be in the General tab. Here is where you can set your launch parameters, and you only need these 3. -novid skips the Ubisoft logo and intro cinematic whenever you boot up the game. Pressing spacebar skips instantly, so not the biggest deal. Plus you can hear the game's official rating if you spam it just right.
10.
Plus datacachesize 128 is brought up in the patch guide I linked earlier. It's noted to greatly increase stability and overall game performance, providing further prevention from potential crashes. Lastly, plus exec autoexec.cfg will run a list of binds we want to set up each time we open the game. Some binds will be reset or forgotten on each game restart, making this quality of life improvement vital to the runner who values their time. Now, I'll show you how to create an autoexec file of your own. Still inside the Properties section, find the Local Files tab once more and use it to go back to your game directory. This time, click on the MM folder, and inside you should find another folder labeled CFG. Inside this folder, you want to create a text document and name it autoexec.cfg. Open the file you've just created. What commands you put here will largely depend on what does or doesn't work for you while setting up your binds in-game. While deciding on your binds, you might find the game forgets 1 or 2 after restarting, so it's always good to restart the game after setting your binds to make sure that there aren't any problems. Any bind the game refuses to remember should be put into your autoexec file to circumvent this headache. To correctly set up your autoexec file, follow this formatting convention. For console commands that don't require a bind, you can simply type out the command on a single line. 2 commands we will 100% want to put in here are r_portalsopenall1 and cl_showpause1. r_portalsopenall1 opens area portals that normally start closed, allowing us to see where we're going on maps such as Breathtaking. cl_showpause1, where showpause stands for show position and gives us information in the form of coordinates, always located in the top right part of the screen. Take note, between each command you need an empty line. For commands that require a keybind, you want to type out lowercase bind followed by the key you want associated to the command. In this case, we'll use letter O. Then the command you want associated with the key. If a command requires an extra space beyond this point, such as commands followed by a qualifier like 0 or 1, you must enclose the command within quotation marks. Here is an example bind. Bind O, load quick 01. This bind loads your second most recent quick save. Here, load is the main command and quick 01 is our qualifier. For commands that do not require an additional space, such as pause, you do not need to enclose the command in quotation marks. Our example bind reads, bind T, pause. Remember to leave a space between each command, and so long as your launch parameters are set correctly, this list will be run each time you start up the game. Next, I would suggest you download and use my practice saves to help with learning from the tutorial. You can always remove mine and make your own should you find they aren't suiting your needs. A link to my practice saves can be found under Resources on the Dark Messiah speedrun page, linked in the description below. Once you've downloaded that, reopen the game directory as done previously through the Steam library. Then open the MM folder. Find the folder labeled Save in all caps and make sure it's empty. Unfortunately, we can't just drag these all in at once because they would appear out of order in-game. Due to Dark Messiah using creation date to organize saves, by dragging them all in at once, they will all share the same creation date on your system and appear in a random order. To work around this, we'll need to drag the files in one at a time. You'll notice most of the saves are numbered and have 2 files per save. The .save file holds all your save data, while the .tga file is just the picture you'll see in the loading list. The first file we want to drag in is the only save without a .tga file to go with it. start_15seconds.save. This save is for starting your runs, and we'll talk more about this during the Livesplit section. Now, drag the saves in one by one in their pairs, starting here at 0. It'll probably take you a few minutes to do, but it only has to be done once and will save you a lot of time compared to if they were in a random order. Restart the game, and you should be ready to follow along with whichever route you're aiming to learn. Feel free to create backup folders for saves you might want to swap out but not delete entirely. This keeps your saves from getting cluttered and is a must for learning multiple categories or routes. Before we get into my final suggestion, the last essential thing we need to cover is setting up your Livesplit, moreover, the auto splitter. If it's your first time with the program, I'll put a link in the description below to a tutorial by SmallAnt that goes over all the minutiae of Livesplit. If you don't want to set up the splits manually, you can download my splits file from the speedrun.com Dark Messiah resources page. The .lss file you download from there will go into your Livesplit folder, wherever you want to keep your splits. Then, you can right-click on your Livesplit window and go to Open Splits, find the .lss file, and select it for use. To set up the auto splitter, right-click on Livesplit and go to Edit Splits. If Dark Messiah is already your selected game, it should automatically load the auto splitter made by Fatalis. Click on Settings, then under the Game Time section, from the drop-down, select Engine Ticks with pauses. Now, click OK. Once more, OK. Right-click on Livesplit again, and this time, hover over Compare Against. Select Game Time. One last time, right-click on Livesplit and go down to Edit Layout. Near the bottom of the pop-up, click on Layout Settings. Go to the tab for your timer, and make sure Timing Method near the top is set to Game Time. Congratulations, your auto splitter should now work properly. But how do we test it out? If you downloaded my practice saves as suggested, I already included the save we all use to start our runs. Reopen your autoexec.cfg file, and let's add a bind that starts a run. You want the key you use for this bind to match the Livesplit hotkey for starting a run. I use -sign for example. Once you've decided on a key, put it into this command. If you have any questions or are having issues, come ask about it in the Discord. I'll put the invitation link in the description below. My last suggestion is for you to install the source pause tool. It's a simple .dll file that you place inside of your dmom bin folder, and it allows you to turn off fade-ins for practicing certain tricks easier. You can read more about its capabilities and download it from the Wiki page located in the description below. But it isn't strictly necessary for speedrunning the game, so for those uninterested, you are completely set up and ready to continue on to the tutorial. For those inclined, I'll show you how to install the source pause tool. Once on the Wiki page for source pause tool, scroll down to the download section and click here to be taken to the GitHub. Find where it says Assets nearest the top of the page and make sure you click on spt-oe.dll since Dark Messiah is run on the old engine, which is what OE stands for in this case. Once downloaded, navigate to your game directory through the Steam library once more. This time, we don't want to go into the mm folder, but place the .dll file inside of the bin folder right here. Make sure you restart your game, and you should be able to activate the plugin by typing plugin_load spt-oe into your developer console. The command to disable fading is y_spt_disable_fade 1, and can be disabled by unloading the plugin via plugin_unload spt-oe in your developer console. Make sure to unload the plugin before starting up any speedruns. Okay, great job. With all of that complete, you're ready to start learning the speedrun. I know that was a lot of information, but I hope it was easy enough to follow. Hey, good luck on the runs. I know my ending in the game is a little slower, but I get lonely up here, you know, so if you could just swing by once in a while and let your old man hold the Skull of Shadows sometime, that'd be awesome. Well, anywho, good luck with your runs, and don't forget to have fun learning. See you around. Soon. Hopefully.